Masters Tale Pt5. In the previous 4 episodes I've dealt with the proportions of players, the groups that make them up. Masters, tops, subs and slaves. And I've fleshed out from my own experience and from the literature and from, of course, mixing with other players, we're coming to a synthesis about male-to-male BDSM, or indeed any form of BDSM. So these talks are designed to inform from my own experience. And we left in 4 where I was the manager of a boot camp in North Wales. The boot camps would run from a Friday to a Sunday lunchtime. I think the most players we ever had was 16. That would be around 4 masters and tops. I think I was the only master there, and around 12 or so subs. They would come, as I said, in all shapes and sizes, and we'd play games. And I dealt in 4 about group dynamics, which can be very exciting. They can be also very scary, about how extreme people will go. This is where it's very important that you have somebody in control of the situation, that people do not overstep the bounds of safety in the pursuit of desire. This generally doesn't happen on a one-to-one basis, but it can happen in groups. Exciting to get close, but also exciting to seamlessly fall back. They feel as if they were able, the subs would feel as if they were able to go to an ultimate limit in some game which was very hazardous, when actually the limits are painted in. You put a line there, you've put a barrier there, so they're not actually in danger of hanging themselves or hurting each other. It may appear as if they are. And this is extremely exciting. But this again is the difference between subs and slaves. These are guys who came and paid to come for an all-inclusive weekend of BDSM games, sleeping in barracks or pseudo-barracks, and having all meals found, and kind of butt-ins for BDSM, I suppose. And sometimes it could be very funny. Some of these guys, that was probably the only experience they ever had in a year. For some of them, it might have been in a decade. And it's the difference between being a slave and being a sub. Subs can have an enjoyable couple of hours on a Saturday with a top, or even with a master, but generally with a top. They play the games, climb the gradients or drop to the bottom of them, and explore themselves psychologically, physically and sexually. Likewise from the top down. That's what his angle is. It's the complete reverse. And then the scene is over. There's a resumption of normal life. Sub gets into his car, gets back on the train, goes back to his wife or mother, and that's the end of that. There may be a connection, a telephone number in a black book, but generally that's the end of the story. Subs can build relationships with tops, and they can build a relationship with masters. I've had it happen myself with guys who subbed for me and then became slaves. Not just the first two slaves, but singular slaves over periods of years. So, usually a slave. Of course a slave has to be a sub first. And I would also presume that, in my case anyway, that to become a master you have to be a top first. Do you ever have to slave? Do you ever have to sub? In a sense, I think one does. One does have to understand the complexity of what submission and being a dominant are.